I'm just so excited about seeing the world's oldest clock.
Okay, so here we are in front of Salisbury Cathedral. And as you can see, the spire is actually tilting a bit because when they built it, they didn't really build it that well, but apparently it's still standing. It's a miracle.
It's like 2 feet to the right of where it should be, but
Yeah.
that is one big spire.
Kind of scared to stand under that, but we get to see the world's oldest clock, so it's okay.
So here we are in the Salisbury Cathedral, and this is the world's oldest clock. Right now it's not running, and that's because the weight is in the ground and it needs to be rewound.
You're blocking the weight. Hold on. There we go.
There's the weight.
There it
But
is.
if it were running, you would be able to see how everything works, and you can kind of figure it out, but without watching it actually move, it's kind of hard to get a grasp on how it's supposed to work. But hopefully next time we come here, we'll get to see it working in all of its amazing clocky glory.
So I'm just going to point out a few parts of the clock. So there's the crown wheels that help to move it, and there is the folio, which makes the ticking noise. And there's the weight, which is all the way on the ground, unfortunately, so we don't get to watch it and move or anything. But it's pretty cool, even though it doesn't have a clock face, which makes me sad, but that's okay.
So this cathedral is just about dates to the 1300s. The clock itself was built, we think, in 1386. There have been some debates among horologists about whether this is the original clock or not. It talks a little bit about it in our book, but they actually took a date, it took a vote a couple of years back among the chief clockmakers of the world if they believed this is the real clock that was dates from 1386, or most of it had been salvaged from other bits of other clocks, and the result came back that most people believe this is the genuine clock. And it was actually in the 1700s. It was placed in the attic of the cathedral by the curator of the church, who didn't think it was a nice addition to the bell tower or the church itself, and it was discovered again in 1928 when it was refurbished, and then it was put on display down here in the main part of the church for people to enjoy, like us.
Okay, so like Maggie was saying about the clock being housed in a different place for a while, in 1789 it was actually housed in a separate bell tower until after she was talking about those refurbishments it was brought out here. Unfortunately, like we've pointed out a couple times, it's not running. I kind of wish we could see it running. I got to go to the British Museum and see the Virgin Folio there, and the ticking noise, it's really neat. It's actually really loud. Like, it's a really click, metallic thud noise. And unfortunately, you can't hear it. You might not even be able to hear it there's a sermon going on right now, so the music's pretty loud. But still, you can see it's a very impressive piece of machinery, even without it moving. Would have been cool if it was moving, but alas, it is not.
Okay, so this part of the machine is called the folio, and it swings back and forth when the axle right below it, kind of that rod running straight down, swings. And that swinging is actually triggered by, where is it? The crown wheel. You can see it right there in the middle. And normally the crown wheel would run continuously forward if there was nothing stopping it, because the weight, which you see right here, would be pulling it down via gravity, obviously. But there's been little stoppers put in right here on the crown wheel so that each time the wheel goes around and a notch is hit, it stops. And that's what makes kind of the mechanism of the clock work better as a timekeeper.
Okay, so what's really fascinating too about this clock is the fact that we actually get to see it physically, because we wouldn't be able to do this in Slough or anywhere else. I mean, first of all, we're in a beautiful Gothic cathedral, and we get to see the world's oldest clock. It's just amazing the fact that we get to actually see the things we're learning about in class. We definitely impressed our tour guide with the fact that we knew that the world's oldest clock was here, that we were really excited to see it. So
And there's pretty music here!
which you might not be able to hear me over.
Yay!
We need to go see the Magna Carta too.
That's
also in this cathedral, which is really impressive.
Must go see.
Yes.
Lots of history in this one place.
Must see! Yay!
Yay! Maggie just walked off.
Gothic architecture.